Sandton and beyond. Get ready for the Sandton Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
This is Mix 93.8 FM, and this is the Sandton Times Hour. My name is Alexander Leibner, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to edition 67, week 20 of the Sandton Times Hour. It's May 2022, and as always, if you want to get in touch with this show, you can email editor@sandtontimes.co.za. You can connect with us on social media at Sandton Times, or visit the website sandtontimes.co.za. And as always, after the show, you'll be able to catch this exact show on a podcast available on Apple, Google, and Spotify podcasts. As always, if you've got any questions or comments, do get in touch. You're part of this conversation. So, yeah. Get in there. I mean, don't be shy. Be good to hear from you. It's the second week of the Sandton Times Hour on Mix 93.8 FM. And thank you to all of you for your kind support and encouragement as the Sandton Times Hour finds its rhythm and finds its feet with a whole new community. It's been great. It's been good. I hope you've had a good week. Wherever you're listening to the show to, you might be in the bath right now. You might be at the gym. You might be in your car. It might have been a long day. The other day, I got somebody tweeting me saying, I prefer listening to the Sandton Times Hour first thing in the morning. I don't know what that means, but what I do know is I'm actually quite happy that they didn't say they listened to it just before bedtime, because then it means it puts them to sleep, and yeah, I don't know if that's quite what we're trying to achieve here. A special shout out to all our listeners that are in Johannesburg and Pretoria and are streaming us and are listening to us on DStv, but also those who listen to us all around the world, including those in the United States, Qatar, the UK, Greece, Brazil, Portugal, and India. I'm happy to report all is well in Sandton land. And we've survived another week. It's been another week of rounds of load shedding. I don't know how your evenings have been. I know I've had a couple of evenings where, it's been dinner by candlelight. So I think for the most of it, it's actually not been too bad in terms of the schedules. But I'm sure there's a couple of people who've had more than they really wanted in terms of load shedding. It seems like things are happening again, man. After all the lockdowns and public holidays, I'm finding my inbox is being flooded again with events, with announcements, launches, invitations, trying to field through all the stuff, trying to sort out through the stuff. I've got some great feedback coming up in the next couple of weeks with new things coming online. And let me just tell you, if you don't hear it on the Sandton Times Hour, don't bother. Honestly, I'm saving you a lot of time and headaches by fielding and filtering out a lot of stuff that you honestly don't want to hear about, don't want to know about, giving you the best bits, picking the raisins out of the proverbial hot cross bun. You're getting the best bits. You don't want to eat all of it. You can have the best bits. And talking about the best bits, coming up on this week's episode, he's from the hottest province, Limpopo, and he's an even hotter, fresh young comedian that's got a new show coming up shortly. Then they are probably South Africa's biggest musical export, and they have a new album out. I'll be playing one of my favorite tracks from that album in a bit, right after the interview. Then young designers from all over Johannesburg are getting a shot at exhibiting their fashion in the fashion capital itself, Sandton City. More to come. And exhibitions and shows are back at the Sandton Convention Centre, and if you're in hospitality, you won't want to miss this one coming up this coming week. And finally, if you enjoy a glass of wine, well, I've got news for you right at the end of this hour. But first, let's take a look at those stories making headlines in Sandton this week. Kicking things off with a bit of a disturbing trend, women being followed in shopping centres, and some news websites and social media have seen an array of first-hand accounts by women who've been followed by men in shopping centres around Johannesburg and Pretoria. One of those stories off Instagram went as follows, and I'm just going to read off this particular post. It said, I was followed from the parking lot in a Sandton mall through the mall and multiple shops. I noticed the guy was following me immediately from the parking when he waited in his car and watched me until I got out of mine. I tried holding back and he stopped and waited for me. I went into the nearest store, which was a sports store, which he followed me into, and I can't express enough how amazing the staff were. The gentleman saw my panic and immediately told me to wait with them, and one of them walked me to where I needed to be and made sure I was safe. Be safe when you're alone, ladies. Places as simple as a mall in broad daylight can be dangerous, and never doubt someone's intentions. And I've read a lot of these posts that have popped up on my Instagram, on different social media, it's certainly quite disturbing to hear these sort of reports. And there are similar stories floating about like this. It's not clear what the intentions are or what the modus operandi is, but we'll be keeping a close eye on this, and hopefully some more information and some more details will emerge as more and more people hopefully don't necessarily have to experience this, but as more investigations into this carry on. Amazing how many of these have popped up over the last week.
Because people have got to know.
Then, on a lighter note, the Red Bull box cart race returns this year.
It's going to be lights out and away we go.
It was last hosted in Sandton back in 2018, and this year, I'm afraid, it's moving to the Boerkaap in Cape Town.
A very difficult decision.
Now, it's taking place on November the 6th, and it's certainly one of the most fun events I've ever been part of. If you're participating, if you're attending as a spectator, it's just one of the best days out, let me tell you. It's hilarious. To recap the event for people who are not familiar with it, the Red Bull Boxcart Race is a non-motorized racing event, challenges both experienced racers and amateurs to design and build an outrageous human-powered boxcart. And they compete against the clock in a downhill race, so there's no motor built into it. It just completely depends on gravity, which sometimes goes well and sometimes doesn't. Not only is speed important,
In a race situation, it's unpredictable. You cannot predict it. It just needs to come your way.
but the team's creativity and the design, as well as how they start their race, because they have to do like a bit of a sketch or a dance or a sing-along or whatever, is important to the judges, and that's what they get scored on. And let me tell you, I've been so tempted to enter a team in the past, and I didn't, and then lockdown happened, and then I thought, oh, this is never going to happen again. So what do you think? Maybe we should enter a team at Mix 93.8 FM, and maybe we should put a team together and enter this thing. I think it would be great.
It's something that gives you goosebumps when you think about it, and it's okay. That is the only challenge I would accept.
Let me know what you think. Maybe you want to get involved. Anyway, let me know. Another event that will also be returning, once again, also not in Sandton, unfortunately, is the Arnold Classic. And the event had been staged in Sandton since 2016, a couple of years that it had been running. But this year it'll be moving to Reimsig from the 3rd to the 5th of June. Some might remember that unfortunate incident where Arnold Schwarzenegger received a flying kick from some random stranger at the last event. I think that guy got arrested, but I think charges weren't pressed. So I'm not surprised that Arnold might not decide to come back again. But having said that, there is a chance that Schwarzenegger will make an appearance at this year's event. And, as he always says,
I'll be back.
So no surprises there. Those are your stories making headlines in Sandton this week. I think that's all we've got time for. Next up, we kick things off with comedian Tsitsi Chiumya.
From Greater Sandton to the rest of the world, this is the Sandton Times Hour.
All right, kicking off the hour with our first interview, and I'm so excited because it's entertainment, and we all need a little bit of entertainment, especially now coming out of 2 years of not being able to go anywhere, do anything, literally see anyone. We've got a comedy show coming up in Sandton this week, and to intro this next interview, I want to give you a quick clip of our next guest.
Coconuts are weird, man. Like whenever I see coconuts, I always think to myself, like, you can see Linde, he looks like he grew up nice. Even his face is innocent, like, he looks like he went to a nice crèche, like, with jumping castles, and party packs, Because I went to a messed up crèche. My crèche was not even like an establishment. It was more like someone's house, right? And the crèche was inside the garage. Do you know how messed up it is for after school to be like this? Go home. Couldn't even have nap time while it was windy because that garage door goes and you're tired, you must sleep. You're tired because they give you pap for breakfast. That's why at my crèche there was no children with ADHD. You come there hyper, they give you pap, you relax immediately.
Tsitsi Chiumya, it's great to have you on the line. You're hosting a show at the HotelSky on the 19th of May. Tell us a little bit more about your comedy career.
What do you mean, my career? So I'm a guy from Limpopo. I'm from Lewagomo, a place in Limpopo, and moved to Johannesburg to study, and then lived in Cape Town for a while, and then started doing comedy, came back, and then eventually left my job to do comedy full time, and the rest is happening, I guess. It's not history yet. So yeah, it's still happening.
So how long have you been at it in the comedy scene?
professionally now, I've been at it full time about like 4 years or 5 years. So it's been quite a while that I've been doing comedy full time, and it's been quite a blessing. But COVID took a lot of my young years in comedy, so it's like we had 2 years of sitting down out, and now we're like older men coming back with young jokes.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, it sounds like you went to a pretty remarkable crèche when you were young. I mean, do you find that a lot of your comedy comes from that situational sort of, environment where you've kind of gone through some pretty rough times, maybe some, now you look back on it and you think it's some pretty entertaining times. Is that really what your comedy is based on?
Yeah, I mean, my comedy is like based on my immediate world and the kind of experiences that I've had in my immediate world. But where I would say I differ from some other comedians, because I try and focus more on similarities. People always focus on like our differences, but I try to focus on our similarities and how weird it is when people force themselves to interact, even though they're from all these different places. But we kind of have this edge to get along, and that for me is like the funniest thing about South Africa.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, every time you hear comedians who are also just unbelievably funny, a lot of them don't come from Johannesburg, and a lot of them come from other provinces, other towns, small provinces, and they've now relocated to the big city, the city of blinding lights. What was that adjustment like for you when you first came to Joburg from where you grew up? What was it like now being in this skyline that you probably only ever got to see on Generations or on Izidingo or on Top Billing or whatever?
It was tough. I'm not going to lie. Being from outside of Joburg is tough because everything about Joburg is different from Limpopo. Like in Limpopo, everybody is like community-based. You know every single person's story. You know everyone's grandmother. You greet every single person you get to, and then you get to overwhelming. The cars are better. The English is much better than what you used to from back home. So there's a lot of differences. And then when you get here, you kind of overcompensate on trying to be the most Joburg person, the most Joburg version of yourself. And then you realize that the things that make you yourself are the same things that don't make you a Joburger. And then people more gravitate towards those kinds of stories of how different are you and how different are you, but you are the same as all of us, but you come from this different kind of background. When you go back home, it's still the same thing. I'm still the same person that I left when I left like about 14 years ago. So it's like, it's interesting to be a Joburger and try and be around all these Joburgers, but you have this background of like growing up in a garage crèche. You have going to a school where you paid 250 for school fees for the whole year, and they called it an English medium school. And you're like, this is not going to be the best English, in Limpopo. I mean, it would be the best English in my area, but it wouldn't be the best English here. And then coming to school here, and then everybody speaks different. I'm meeting like all these different kinds of people from different backgrounds. The school is different. Everything's just amazing. And it's so overwhelming because you're trying to fit in, but you have this inferiority complex of coming from Limpopo. But that also gives you a kind of an edge over everybody else because they don't have the kind of stories that you could have. They have different stories, but not the same ones that you come from, I guess. Yeah.
So what can people expect when they come to a Tsitsi Chiumya show? What's your comedy about? What's sort of the general theme that you sort of touch on?
I mean, my show is generally about like what I'm going through as a young person, I guess. The first one was called So Naive because I was really naive when I moved to Joburg. Like I moved here with the concept of moving to any big city. I'm gonna make it. Everything's gonna be all right. Everybody's friendly, and all that stuff. So I was naive. And this one is called Breadwinner because, because I've had to grow up and become a breadwinner for the ones I take care of. And it's just the perception. This show is about the perception of what people call a breadwinner. We've had to survive breadwinners and become breadwinners of our own. Like I've had to survive living with my stepdad and my mom to living alone and becoming a young man, becoming independent And the concept of a breadwinner hasn't changed from what my parents think it is. You know, they still think that just because they birthed me, then they are my breadwinners by virtue of them being older than me. And I'm like, no, I'm also a breadwinner because I've got stuff to take care of. I have rules that I have set out for myself. And a lot of young people are suffering from things like that because our parents don't give us the leeway to become, our own people. So this show is about that transition of being taken care of, taking care of yourself, and surviving a breadwinner, becoming one, and maybe teaching a different kind of language when it comes to the topic of being a breadwinner going into the future. I mean, I could be wrong with certain things, but at least I have tried to rectify what I've seen wrong with what the previous generations did.
So why host your show in Sandton? I mean, it's at the HotelSky, which is on the corner of Maud and West. Why come to Sandton with your show?
Because Sandton is the Mecca. So if you're from Limpopo and you do a show in Sandton, that's a breadwinner move right there. So that's it. I'm not even going to try and justify that. Sandton it's a beautiful place to host the show. It's a different kind of environment. It brings a different kind of crowd. It brings a different kind of way of listening, and it's a challenge for me to do it. This is my second show there. The last one was last year, and it was sold out very quickly. And I was like, you see, this is what I like about Sandton. The people buy tickets on time, and they come there on time, and they laugh, and they leave, and they take pictures. We have a good time. Not like other places where you do a show and somebody asks you to buy a beer for them after the show.
I'm not even going to ask where that is.
No, I'm not going to say it because I don't want them to. I want to go back there and feel safe.
Just make sure you to go with your own 6-pack that you've bought at the liquor shop before. You don't have to pay the expensive prize as well. Tsitsi Chiumya, he's got a show called Breadwinner on at the HotelSky, 19th of May. And as he said, make sure you buy your ticket sooner rather than later, because people in Sandton buy their tickets sooner, and they also arrive on time. Make a note of that. It's $150. You're going to have an absolutely fantastic time. Make sure that you organize yourself some dinner beforehand. Maybe you go for dinner. Maybe you even end up staying over at the hotel because you're having such a great time, and Tsitsi's bought you a couple of beers and you can't drive home. So there you have it. Tsitsi Chiumya, thank you so much for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. Shapa.
Follow the Sandton Times on social media.
Sandton Times.
Hello, sweetheart.
Hello, Mommy.
What are you drawing, my darling?
I'm drawing you, Mommy.
Oh, that's so pretty, my girl.
What does pretty look like, Mommy?
Help us break the bonds of blindness. Invest now in a cure in sight for blindness. To donate, go to www.retinasa.org.za or call 0860 595959.
Connect with the Sandton Times. Email editor@sandtontimes.co.za.
Well, one of South Africa's hottest exports must be the Ndlovu Youth Choir, and I was super excited to see that they have released a new album, and I thought, well, let's get them on. Let's chat about this new album, and I'm thrilled to be joined by the artistic director for the Ndlovu Youth Choir, Ralf Schmitt. Ralf, good to see you again. It's been some time since we last spoke.
Yeah, it has been, but it's great being back here, and it's been an exciting period for us, releasing this new album and getting it out, and also just getting performing again. It's just been fantastic.
It must have been the most unbelievable time, especially for the arts, but I think also because you're responsible for so many artists at the same time. I mean, we've heard of bands, we've heard of solo singers who've had to make the best of what has been a pretty messy situation over the last 2 years, but to have to look after an entire choir, which is well over 24 people, that must be a whole nother story altogether.
Yeah, it was. I can tell you the first month or so, first 2 weeks of the lockdown were really cool because, we'd just been traveling nonstop. And it was just so nice. A friend of mine, I celebrated my birthday a few weeks before the first lockdown, and she said to me, my wish for you is to spend more time with your family. So I'm convinced that she started the pandemic. The first 2 weeks were fun, and then it got extended. You're like, oh, this is not too cool. And once it dawned on us that this is very, very serious, there were quite a few sleepless nights. What do we do to keep the whole project going? We were really at the crest of our wave. And we went straight into the virtual space. So we converted our rehearsal venue into a green screen studio and started doing shows all around the world. And in a strange way, it had its benefits in that we were able to perform in Australia, New Delhi, London, and New York, and Los Angeles in different time zones, all just from Limpopo. So it was an amazing time, and I'm very pleased that we could get through it. And I also think in a strange way, the lockdown came at the perfect time for us, because it was just so crazy that we needed time to just settle down and figure things out.
Well, talking about the Ndlovu Youth Choir and lockdown, I must tell you, there was a very important part of the Ndlovu Youth Choir that kept me going during lockdown. Because I think at one point we all got through, halfway, and we thought, is this ever going to end? Is this going to be our new reality? Walking around the courtyard or around our garden as the only form of exercise. And I must tell you, the choir's rendition of Higher Love, originally by Whitney Houston, is sensational. I think it's probably one of the best covers I've heard of that particular track. And I think it is just so uplifting and so inspiring that I think whenever I had a bad day during lockdown, I would just pull up my iTunes, I'd put on the Ndlovu Youth Choir's Higher Love, and I think my entire day was set. And I must tell you, I'm so glad you've weathered the storm, because I think now more than ever, it's that kind of exciting, energetic, uplifting, and inspiring kind of music that all of us need. Especially in times where people have lost jobs, they've lost family members, they've lost property. It's been rough. I think people have all come out of this battered and bruised in one way or another, and I think it's that kind of uplifting music that people do need. Do you find a lot of people saying that to you?
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you. You've made my day. But I think I think music is extreme. What to me was so powerful was the internet obviously connects us with the world, and people would be posting Instagram stories. There was one beautiful Instagram where we released a song in the middle of I think in July 2020 called We Will Rise.
Yes.
And there was a lockdown in Paris or something like that, and all the apartment blocks were listening to it together. And we'd see these videos of people from around the world listening to Ndlovu Youth Choir music and doing remixes in their rooms, and that platforms like TikTok were such fun to see what people are doing. So yeah, it's very humbling to see that. But music is an incredibly powerful medium, I think, to not just uplift people and enrich them, but to provide them with a positive outlook on life. And we were in dark times, and I think it is natural as humans to gravitate towards the arts and to music, particularly because we couldn't see it live. So yeah, we just very touched that every time we see someone taking our music and doing something with it, it's fantastic.
And you've also put so much effort into the production of the music. Even your music videos have become almost sort of like they've got their signature style to it. And the fact that you also don't just take the song and cover it, you actually bring in that sort of South African Limpopo flavor into that song that just gives it a whole nother dynamic. I think that's what makes it so unique, and that's probably what resonates with so many people, both locally and internationally. But let's talk about this new album that's come out now. It's Grateful. I'm assuming this is a reference to the fact that we're all still here and going?
I suppose in a certain way it is, but we truly are grateful. It's not just like a lot of artists. I love my fans and I'm so grateful. But we really, really are, because people have been so good to us. South Africa has been so good to us. They've opened their hearts to us, and the support that we've received, not just in lockdown but throughout, has just been incredible. And there's only one way to thank people, and that's through music. That's the best way that we can do it. The title track, Grateful, I'm very, very proud of, because it was written by one of our choristers, Madoda Mashwani. Madoda wrote this. He brought me the song, and I heard he's writing. I said, Madoda, bring your songs. He's like, no, I don't bring my songs. And I said, no, you must now send me your music. And I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is a cool song. So a beautiful song that we then decided to make the title track and also bring in 25K to come and rap and feature on the track. So it's also a celebration, I think, of also all the artists that are featured on the album. You know, we've got 25K, we've got Sun Musician, Tyler ICU, and our friends, the National Youth Choir of Great Britain. Yeah, I mean, we just, without sounding too cheesy, grateful for everyone's contribution and grateful for the, if I take a step back on the grateful thing, there are so many young people that just need an opportunity. And we were lucky to get an opportunity. I mean, we worked hard and all of that, but we got an opportunity and we had to work hard when we got it. And I always explain that to the choir. But all our singers come from rural Limpopo, in a small village in Mutse. And how many other Mutse Limpopos are there in this country that have not had that chance? Yeah. And we hope to represent, can I rather say, we'd be humbled to represent their talents and their potential through this.
Ah, fantastic. And I mean, are we expecting any tours coming up now that things are sort of opening up, that people might be able to see you, sort of public performances where people can buy tickets to see the choir?
Yeah, so we're doing, we're headlining Bushfire Festival in Swaziland. Apparently it's the first time we've done Bushfire, so I'm very excited. It's a real vibe. It's like the Glastonbury of Africa. And we're planning a big national tour where we'll be doing theatres in all the major centres.
Oh, it's super exciting. I'm just having a quick look at the album rundown. I know, as always, you've got a great mix of your own original tracks, but also some fantastic covers. You've done Man in the Mirror. Then you've got your lead track, I know, on here is Africa Hey, along with Grateful, which really looks great. Bella Ciao, which was also one of those songs I think that Netflix managed to resurrect.
Yes, exactly. we watched Money Heist. We're like, guys, this is a cool song. Let's do it. And I think Tyler had just done his version, so we popped it up on TikTok, and it was like something like 11 million views later.
Fantastic.
So the thing went viral. We're like, well, people enjoyed our Bella Ciao, so let's pop it on the album.
Well, brilliant. Well, I certainly made my selection, which we're going to play out just after this interview, off the new album. And Ralf Schmitt, Artistic Director of Ndlovu Youth Choir, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. And I'm so glad to see you guys are alive and strong. And I can't wait to chat to you about those performances and tours coming up later in the year. So here it is, off the new album, Grateful, by the Ndlovu Youth Choir. It's A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman.
Back for more?
The Sandton Times Hour continues.
Well, welcome back to the second half of the Sandton Times Hour. And if you've just tuned in, my name is Alexander Leipner. And this is the Sandton Times Hour, which goes out on Mix 93.8 every Monday night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then straight after the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure you tune in and make sure you subscribe. Don't forget, you can also get all the details of what we discuss on this show in our show notes, which are up on the sandtontimes.co.za straight after the show. Also, you can access the podcast there as well. It's always good to hear from you, so please feel free to get in touch however you feel most comfortable. And please share your comments, your feedback, your input. All are welcome. We move on to our next interview for this show. And Sandton City has got an initiative going called Sandton City Loves Local Design. And it's on until the 20th of May 2022. 8 exciting upcoming designers from Alexandra, Katlehong, and Soweto are displaying their creations at Sandton City. And joining me on the line to discuss this are Thabiso Sebata, he's the co-founder of AlexBiz, and Shareen Scheepers, who looks after the event side of AlexBiz. Great to have both of you on the Sandton Times Hour. Thabiso, maybe just give us a bit of context as to how this initiative came about.
All right, thank you, Alex, for having us on your show. I'm really excited. This has been really a good opportunity for Alex. We met with the CEO of, he came to an event that we hosted. So when we found out who he is, we just saw an opportunity to just present to him that we have fashion designers who haven't really tapped into the big market. You know, they've just been servicing the local market. And there's no better place than Sandton, is the capital of fashion. So when we saw him, we saw an opportunity, and we just asked. You know, sometimes you just have to ask, and we just asked if we can please consider something to do with our local fashion designers. and he was really keen on engaging with us. And then that's how we came to the theme called Love Local. So the idea around it is that they're going to be giving different townships an opportunity to come into their space and showcase their work for free. You know, they've given us a whole month to showcase. And you know, if you could think about the rental in a place like Sandton, a lot of our fashion designers would not afford that. And so we see it as a great opportunity. There's a lot of great stories that have already come out of this event. So yeah, I think Shareen will also touch on some of those things because she works very closely with the designers. So we have like big celebrities that are already buying from our guys, which wouldn't have happened easily had it not been for this event.
Well, I'm quite keen to hear those stories because I think that at the end of the day is where the rubber hits the road. You know, so often a lot of these initiatives are put together. In some instances, it ticks a box, but you know what you really want is you want this to be an opportunity for someone to really launch their career or launch their business or just take a step forward. I mean, just for saying, you know, I've been in Sandton City for a month and everyone said how lovely my stuff is, but I didn't sell anything, is really probably not the end goal of all of this. So, Shareen, let me get you on and maybe you can just share some of the outcomes and some of the stories from having this platform and having this opportunity to get these designers into Sandton City.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Oh, Thabiso knows I'm on cloud nine. I'm super excited, only just even for having them being in Sandton. Like everything after that, it's like a cherry on top. Having like celebrities buying their clothing, you can tell that the talent is there. You know, they just needed a proper exposure. You know. Because even when our DJs in Clay made a sale, like for our first time, it was just one of those things that were unexpected. Because on my side personally, I thought maybe it was going to be a thing of, can we meet so and so that we can see? But boom, a sale. So that was like an awesome opportunity. Yeah, the designers are super excited, and they are like, we are here if they want to. Anything, they're determined basically, and they can see the opportunity. It's one of a lifetime.
Well, Thabiso, maybe you can give us a little bit more background as to what was the criteria for these designers to be able to go to Sandton City? I mean, I think in the creative space, being in the creative space here as well, you know, we're on in media. You know, everyone thinks they can cook, everyone thinks they can sing. And everyone thinks that they're a fashion designer. So, you know, what was the final crux as to narrowing it down to 8 people?
One thing that Sandton made clear is that they are a very high level mall, and people know them for excellence. So they were very strict on the type of designs that would come into their space. So the criteria was just make sure that it's of high quality, something that would resonate with the people that would come to Sandton. So that was just the strong message that it really needs to represent Sandton, and it just should be of a very high quality. Apart from that, they were just impressed with the kind of designs that our guys were able to produce. So the format is that they can come and change the clothes as many times as they want. The designers don't just have one outfit that they would put in there. So in the past few weeks, you know, they probably had 5 or more outfits that they've put out there. And also it boosts their social media. You know, when their clients go to Sandton, they take pictures next to the mannequins wearing their outfits, and then they will do all the social media tags. Once you associate with places like Sandton, people take you more seriously. So we don't know the big impact that it has gotten for the fashion designers, but we know that it's really taken their brand up. People now really consider them as a brand to wear. Yeah, so the criteria is very, very high.
Well, look, I mean, it's good to hear that, it's been not only a brand building exercise, which by the sound of things is been the case, but it's also been an opportunity to sell a lot of the items. So I would hazard a guess that a lot of the garments that are on display are ready to wear. They're not just sort of abstract fashion that we often see on runways, where you go, well, that looks very creative, but I don't think I could ever wear that to a dinner party or to work. So I'm assuming all the garments are all, you can literally buy them as they are, and you can wear them to your next, the Durban July is coming up, so maybe it's something you could wear to the Durban July.
That is true. And I must say, like, I am super impressed. Every time when the designers change, they just push. They will just give you something that is like, even with the last changing, it's like designers really like push themselves to the limit. But you can see, as you're saying, with what they put on the mannequins, it's something that I would I would want to wear. Some of them, they're even saying, "Oh, I see this type of celebrity in this," because I believe them stepping out of their comfort zone. As I'm saying, they did notice that this is a beautiful platform to shine. So I believe that they know themselves that obviously when they do their design, they have to do something that obviously somebody would want to wear immediately. And because of them having an opportunity like this, they're just proving themselves to say that, no, if I had to do something like you're saying in a fashion or a runway, it would slack them a bit, because of, if you are given an opportunity where you're going to rent a space where it's going to cost you so much, why should I limit myself to the point where if I put something that I cannot wear myself, why? So everything that is on the box, it's something that I myself, I can purchase right on set. If you have to adjust the sizes, it's just one of those things. You can just adjust the sizes, but everything perfect.
Well, if you're looking for that next outfit that's going to blow some people away, and you're looking for some sort of authentic South African design, something that is unusual, different, and fresh, well, you can head down to Sandton City. You can go check it out. It's there until the 20th of May 2022. I know that they've extended it due to popular demand. Make sure that you head down there. And Thabiso Sebata, co-founder of AlexBiz, and Shareen Scheepers on the event side of AlexBiz, thank you so much for making the time and joining me on the Sandton Times Hour.
Thank you, Alex. I love your professionalism, and thank you for having me on.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour. Connect with the Sandton Times. Email editor@sandtontimes.co.za.
All right, things are getting back to normal in Sandton. It's getting busy. Events are back on the cards. I see the Sandton Convention Centre starting to fill up again. And one of those events happening this week is the Hotel and Hospitality Show. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by the portfolio director for this particular event, Evan Schiff. Evan, good to have you on the Sandton Times Hour.
Alexander, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, Evan, tell us about the Hotel and Hospitality Show.
We are ourselves super excited to be back to live events. I'm a professional event organizer, and the last time I did so was in May 2019. So great to get flex those event muscles once again, prove we're match fit, but we're raring to go and really very excited. The Hotel and Hospitality Show will be taking place for the 5th year this year, and it is a trade show specifically focused on hotels, restaurants, guest houses, resorts, all those types of properties, that looks at what are the new trends within the industry, where is the industry going, how is it recovering, what tips and techniques and technologies can be implemented. And then we've also got an exhibition with some really fantastic products and services that are going to hopefully help hotels and help restaurants come together. And we are co-located with Design Joburg as well. So we're really creating a spectacular offering, we feel, and should be of interest for hospitality industry and decor enthusiasts as well.
Well, it's on from the 19th to the 21st of May 2022 at the Sandton Convention Centre. As you mentioned, very much an industry-specific event, so it's not necessarily for everyone to kind of come along and look at the tablecloths and look at all the different things that hospitality people on an operational side would look at. But what are some of sort of the key things that you're picking up now that hospitality is sort of on the recovery? What are sort of the key topics and the key trends that people are sort of talking about?
Well, that's exactly right. So it is a business-to-business trade show. So we are focused on specifically on the trade, but we've got also free to attend workshops for people in the business. And we're looking at things that, again, the companies can use to help them recover. As you know, restaurants, hotels have been through one of the most awful times over the past 2 years, particularly hard hit by the travel bans, particularly hard hit by sentiment, just people not feeling comfortable to go out and sit in a restaurant or to go and stay in a hotel potentially. So we're beginning to see the demand come back again, definitely being more demand for hotels and accommodation, certainly in the domestic tourism side. You're seeing business tourism come back to a certain degree, international tourism. You're seeing events starting again, obviously, which helps hotel, restaurants, hospitality as well. So what we're trying to focus on is to say, if you've been suffering, if you've had these sorts of problems, as all hotel operators or restaurant operators have had over the past while, what sorts of things should you be looking at that can help you cement your recovery? And that would be things like, are you making the best use of the assets that you've got? Can you refurb your property? Can you be offering different products that will allow you to take advantage of the new normal? So for a hotel, that might be looking at more long-term stays for digital nomads. South Africa is an amazing place. If you are able to work online and earn in dollars or earn in euro, as the case may be, then, you may as well come out for a few months and sit in Cape Town, be in a hotel, sit in Durban, sit in Johannesburg, and you can work quite effectively from your hotel. So are hotels off making those sorts of offering? Have they identified this new market and this new opportunity? How best to take advantage of online booking, which has replaced things like travel agents? So it's looking at all these types of information and all these types of techniques that these hospitality operators should be putting in place, that they can make sure that their businesses are surviving and that their businesses are thriving. And that's what we hope to do. We're a platform and a place of connection for the industry to come together, to learn, to network, to find new products, to meet old friends again, and to really help them take it forward and grow and be as successful as possible.
Well, certainly some of the hotels and lodges that I've visited of late for some of our travel pieces have taken this time, especially lockdown and some of the more sort of restrained trading scenarios, as an opportunity to refurbish, to maybe change up the menu a bit. Some of it also very much forced by COVID, that buffets weren't in for a while and they had to think of new ways to serve food or different foods to serve. And then some have really gone all the way to literally take down entire structures, rebuild, redo the rooms, add in more space, add in more ventilation, do all of this. So some hospitality owners have really done quite a bit to kind of almost get ready for that wave when everyone comes back again into their lodge or their hotel or their resort, whilst others have really seen a tough time. I mean, there's been a lot of people who've gone out of business, hotels that have changed ownership and in some instances have completely disappeared. What has the response been like to the show? Are you seeing some good attendance numbers in terms of the pre-registration?
It is just incredible. Just like we have, it seems the market and the audience are hungry. People want to get back to shows. They want to get back to normal. We do know that, yes, there was, we ran them as well, online conferences and Zoom conferences and that sort of thing, which were great. And, it's good enough in their way, but you really can't beat meeting people and seeing people face to face and being in the same room with a group of like-minded people. It really is amazing and incredible. And we're seeing that in our pre-registration numbers. So we're up, we're exceeded our 2019 pre-registration numbers, which is amazing. We've got a hotel GM luncheon. We've got, we had to close that off because we reached our limit of attendees to register. We're doing the Rosetta Awards, the Restaurant Association of South Africa, the RASA Rosetta Awards on Thursday the 19th. We've got over 400 restaurants that have all RSVP'd to come and attend it. So it is simply incredible to see the industry wanting to come back together and wanting to connect again. And yeah, we're looking forward to a really good show.
Well, as I said, you've got the show going on at the Sandton Convention Centre. Any particular reason you've decided to host this particular show as Sandton as an address?
Yes, absolutely. So we, this is the 5th year we'll be running the show, and we used to run it alongside, I've got 2 other shows I run, Africa's Big 7, which is a retail ready food show, and then Cytex, which is a general trade show. And the 3 shows, we used to run them together as Africa Trade Week. So we're still Africa Trade Week, but what we were looking at for the show was, where do the hotel operators and restaurant operators feel most comfortable, and where do they want to be in terms of access and in terms of being more comfortable to attend and being in more comfortable surroundings. And we got feedback from the industry that they do like Sandton, they prefer Sandton. Obviously, we've got the right sort of hotels around there. It is central to a lot of our visitor and our customer base, and that makes it easier for them to attend and a place where they can feel more comfortable. So we made the decision to move away from the other shows to let it stand on its own 2 feet, and we believe really take its place as its own show and allow the show to grow, because it is such an important sector both for South Africa and Africa, and we believe there's a lot more legs in this sector, so we're gearing the show up for growth over the next few years.
Well, it's certainly a sector that I think for most of us we've all had some sort of exposure to it. If it's either for business travel or if it's for leisure travel, I think for most people, they've stayed at a hotel or a guest lodge or a resort or a game lodge at some point in their life, and it'll be interesting to see what some of these people take out of this show in terms of new decor trends, new ways of doing things. I've just had a look at some of your key themes that'll be discussed during some of the workshops, and some of the speakers that'll be stepping up, talking about reinventing the F&B experience, township hospitality, designing spaces for tomorrow's guests. I know there's still a lot of people very cautious as to how they travel with COVID-19. And then just also touch on briefly some of the speakers at the workshops. I see you've got Bart Dorenstein from Legacy Group speaking, which is super exciting. Mark Wachsberger from the Capital Hotels and Apartments, he's going to be there. City Lodge Hotel Group's Chief Operating Officer, Lindiwe Sangweni Sido. So you've got some really great speakers lined up, some people with some real insights and some real top-down perspective on what's going on across South Africa's hospitality space.
Look, we're incredibly lucky. We've got the simply most amazing advisory board, which is a group of 20-odd hotel and restaurant professionals, from chefs through to hoteliers, through to hotel investors, consultants. And we all come together in meetings. We did it a few months ago to look at what is keeping hoteliers awake at night? What is keeping restaurateurs awake at night? What are people doing currently in the market that is noteworthy and that makes for a good case study? And from there, we build out the themes. What are the issues facing the industry, and how can we address them? And we refine those themes, and then we go and find the best possible speakers that can speak from a place of knowledge, because that's ultimately why you would come to the show. You want to come to learn, and you want to come and hear from the best of the best. And we're very lucky to have some immensely talented hoteliers and restaurateurs in South Africa. As with so many other things in South Africa, we punch above our weight from what you think we are and from what you might expect from a country at the tip of Africa. We really accomplish the most amazing things. And the hospitality, hotel industry, restaurant industry is no different. So if we've got access to all this amazing talent, let us make this talent available to the wider industry and allow people to come and learn and to come and network and to come and connect. And we're very lucky that they believe in that too, and they are taking of their time and coming to support us and support the industry. So it should be great.
Well, as long as the hoteliers and GMs are having sleepless nights, so you have a better sleep when you visit their hotels, I think that's all good.
Exactly right.
Evan,
not in their own hotels, though. There's no sleepless nights in their own hotels. They sleep like babies there.
There you have it. I love it. Evan Schiff, he's the Portfolio Director at DMG Events, home to the Hotel and Hospitality Show on at the Sandton Convention Centre, 19-21 May 2022. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sandton Times Hour.
Follow the Sandton Times on social media.
At Sandton Times.
Right, as we wrap things up for another hour, we're going to touch on an event that's taking place in Greater Sandton this week, and it's the Constantia Showcase, which is taking place on the 18th of May at the Southern Sun in Hyde Park. And to talk us through this event, I'm joined by one of the organisers of the Constantia Wine Route, let's call it experience, Wade Bales. Wade, tell us a little bit more about this showcase that you guys have got planned for Sandton.
Yes, I'm involved with the Constantia Wine Route. I'm one of the members of the Constantia Wine Route, and we collaborate with the different farms of Constantia. So just to give you a little bit of context how I'm involved, we have a property in Constantia which we've been there for over 20 years, and we'll be coming up with 8 other farms from the Constantia Valley with the winemakers of the farms. And just a little bit of a summary around that is that the winemakers will be coming up, they will be bringing their wines. So basically, meet the winemaker is in a nutshell.
And Wade, why have you decided to bring this particular showcase up to Johannesburg?
Alex, we've done it. We've done it before. Obviously, COVID put a span in the works. But Johannesburg is a very important market for the Cape wine producers. And as you know, Constantia is a historic region in the Western Cape, and a very premium region. And they have a big demand for their wines in Johannesburg. So it's an opportunity now, with restrictions being lifted, for the winemakers to come back and meet the people of Johannesburg, show them their latest wines, and generally just reintroduce them to the wines that they may not have had, have seen or tasted before.
Well, let's quickly just refresh everyone on some of the great wine farms that are found in Constantia. You've got Bo Constantia, Buite Verwachting, Constantia Glen, Constantia Royal, Eagle's Nest, Groot Constantia, Klein Constantia, Silver Mist, and then also Steenberg, which also has a remarkable golf course as a side note. But wait, what makes this region so great when it comes to wines?
What's distinctive about Constantia is, firstly, it is the birthplace of South African wine. It was where the first vines were planted about 350 years ago, 1652, if I'm not mistaken. So it was identified all those years ago as prime growing region, prime growing conditions for vines, for growing wine. Yes, and it's the oldest wine region in the Cape. It is approximately 20 minutes from the center of Cape Town, so it is very accessible to Cape Town itself, and it's a really beautiful part of the world. The Constantia region is magnificent. Geographically, it's very well suited to growing wine for a number of reasons. It's considered a cool climate wine growing region for a number of reasons, but most primarily because of its access or exposure to the two oceans. That it's a peninsula, so it gets exposed to the False Bay and the Atlantic Ocean on either side, with the cooling sea breezes, which makes it a cool climate region, which produces real wines of nuance. And also, because of the slow ripening process, the wines are intense and just very unique and distinctive. Obviously, there's also the Constantia is on the foot of the Table Mountain Reserve, so that also creates interesting growing conditions with the slopes of the mountain slopes, altitude, which also favors cool climate wine growing conditions. So just the oldest wine farm is there, Constantia, and very, very famous farms like, as you mentioned, Constantia, Klein Constantia, all award-winning wine producers. So there's a lot going for this region.
Absolutely, and I think also particularly on the food side as well. I had a chance to have a fantastic meal at Beyond at Buite Verwachting, which is a really top-class restaurant. If anyone listening is ever in the Cape region anytime soon, one worth checking out, and it goes so well with a glass of wine. Wade, tell us a little bit more about any new releases or anything that people should be keeping an eye out for, should they be coming through to the showcase. Is there anything that's new and hot coming out of Constantia?
Absolutely, Alex. Just also to add to your point about the restaurants, there's really Franschhoek in the Western Cape is known for its as the gourmet capital of the Cape, but Constantia is really sort of upped its game over the last year or two. Everybody who is a foodie would know and appreciate La Colombe, which is, I think, it's in the top 50 restaurants in the world. There's Steenberg, have a wonderful restaurant called Trin, and Bistro 1682. There's the famous Chef's Warehouse up at Beauconstance. So there's many wonderful eateries in Constantia. But to your question, Alex, I think Constantia is very famous for its sweet wines, particularly the Vinde Constance and Groot Constance from Groot Constantia. The legend is that Napoleon, that was the wine he requested on his deathbed, was the Vinde Constance. But new releases, there's Constantia is famous for its Sauvignon Blanc. So that, there's a very strong marketing campaign running called Serious About Sauvignon. We feel that Constantia makes the finest Sauvignon Blancs in the country, if not in the world. just because of those cool climate conditions that I spoke to you about. But there's also wonderful red wines coming out of Constantia Glen 5, which is their flagship Bordeaux blend. I recently Justin won the Diners Club Winemaker of the Year for that wine. I think it was the 2018. And Beterwachten have wonderful Sauvignon Blancs. The Hassis Flay we consider is a cult wine. There's the great bubblies of Steenberg. There's I'm just thinking Eagle's Nest is renowned for its Shiraz and Merlot red wines. Constantia make an absolutely unbelievable Governor's Reserve. They were awarded as the top Sauvignon Blanc in the world 2 years ago for the 2019 Sauvignon Blanc. Oh, I can go on and on and on.
Absolutely. I mean, by the sound of things, I mean, I'm ready to actually head into the kitchen right now and get myself some crackers and cheese and get a bottle of white wine going here. So Wade Bales, organizer of the Constantia Showcase, as mentioned, it takes place at the Southern Sun in Hyde Park on May 18th. If you're interested, all the information will be up on the website on our show notes. And you can take it from there. So Wade Bales, thank you so much for making the time to chat to us on the Sandton Times Hour.
Wonderful, Alex. Thanks for having us.
And that's it for another hour, the Sandton Times Hour on Mix 93.8 FM, and is always available as a podcast on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Don't forget you can also email editor@sandtontimes.co.za and connect with us at Sandton Times on whatever social media platform you choose. There's also the website www.sandtontimes.co.za, and as always, feel free to send through your questions or comments on the show. Thank you to all my guests for this week for making the time to chat to us, and also thank you to the team at the Sandton Times, as well as everyone at Mix 93.8 FM. Thank you for listening, and let's connect again next week.